Why wood-burning stoves can work in your home.
Get in touch with the folks at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. They are the chimney and insulation experts. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, cloudy with a high of 36. It remains cloudy through tonight with a low of 29. Don't miss the Randy Rainbow for President Tour. Randy Rainbow is bringing his acclaimed act to the State Theater in Minneapolis Friday night, February 23rd. Get your tickets today at randyrainbow.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and in the evening on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Tuesday. Matt and Patrick here. Michelle Griffin's going to join us a little bit later on from the Minnesota Reformer, talk about in Minnesota, at least the beginning of the session up here. Patrick, how are we today?
Not doing too bad. I've been holding down the fort all by myself.
Brett has decided to slack off more than usual. He works very hard. He is on vacation, so you are a grand poobah here. How many fires have we had to put out today?
212.
Yeah, pretty standard day then on radio. What are you whining about? That's normal. You're wearing your asbestos clothes, right? Good. All right, that will help you out with that. So it is Mardi Gras. Yeah, I can't remember when. I remember last year, right before I started the Chicago bit. Last year I went to Mardi Gras. Or I went to New Orleans. I went to New Orleans and went down there with my wife it was our anniversary trip. We did that down there. First time I've been down there. Did you ever make it down there? I think you were thinking about trying to go down.
I got there back in 2015.
That's right.
I only spent an afternoon there, but I did wander around the quarter. I still remember the smell very vividly. I had lunch at a place called Mother's, which is kind of one of the legacy restaurants. I think it opened about 1940 or so. Long line to get in, but it was worth it.
The po' boy?
I don't remember what I had. I know I had gumbo because that was kind of what the one thing that I had to try everywhere I went was gumbo. And I think I had a ham sandwich there.
Well, they do have that. They have those stacked sandwiches there, which are very solid at Mother's. Okay, and we were discussing this last night. There's two kinds of gumbo. There is kind of the traditional gumbo with tomatoes, and then there's the Cajun gumbo, which is okra. I am not a fan of the okra stuff. And don't get me wrong, I like okra, especially fried okra. It's tasty. But the okra gumbo, I'm much more of the traditional tomato-based sauce there. And fill it with all sorts of critters. I love it. Oh, it's good stuff. The muffaletta sandwich down at the Central Market. The beignets down on Cafe du Monde. Oh, if you haven't been, it's worth going. But Patrick gives you a little bit of a warning here, and I back up Patrick a million days from Sunday on this one. There is a little bit. You walk out there in the morning at like 8 a.m. to start your day, and you're like, yeah, that's not a good smell. And it's kind of they have the crews that must hose down those streets. I hope they're getting paid top dollar down there because that's a job.
That'd be hazard pay to deal with that.
Oh, it can't be pleasant. It really it is a magnificent city. The arts down there are spectacular. The music, the best Mardi Gras movie, by the way, the best Mardi Gras movie is Princess and the Frog, the Disney cartoon. Is absolutely fantastic. It nails the music, it nails the culture. It is a wonderful film. I'm a big fan of that one. And it just, that is New Orleans. That is New Orleans. Although they say New Orleans, and you don't say it like that. They get mad at you. So it's New Orleans. And don't say Nolans. No, New Orleans. That's, there you go. The music, spectacular. I mean, just the variety, the diversity. I'm a big fan of Rory Danger and the Danger Dangers, which are a very different kind of band, but they're down there. That's a New Orleans thing too. And it's great fun. The views, the culture, the city, the architecture, the history, all of it fantastic. But it is a place where today, well, I mean, during the show today, Patrick, occasionally, if you're watching the show, he'll throw some beads at me and I'll expose myself. So there you go. It's a happy time. Happy Mardi Gras.
Beads optional today.
No, we are not. No. Get ready for those screenshots. OnlyFans. No, we will not be doing that today. I've been informed there's a memo here from HR. Sweet Jesus, Matt, shut up. All right, that's thank you. All right, HR is so helpful. But the encouraged drinking until you vomit and the drug use down there is undeniable. But it's a place for debauchery. And it's like Vegas. I mean, it's, you can, sure, there's some fun elements of Vegas. Vegas has got some real fun quirks to it. But it's also a vice town. And, you can't kind of escape that. So, but, a lot of people down there having a good time today because it is going to be an early Easter. I think it is the 31st. Is it the 31st is Easter? March 31st? It's early this year. We have Ash Wednesday starts tomorrow. Get ready to whatever you're giving up. And of course, this for me in Chicago, I want to hear from you too. We are getting into, as a Christian, one of my favorite times of the year, Fish Fry Fridays. Oh my, there is something ethereal about churches and their fish dinners and lovingly sculpted by elderly women in the basement of a church. Oh, I love it so much. It's always so good. So you can let me know about your Fish Fry Fridays as they come up here because I'll be hitting them all throughout the entire rest of the month of February, March. Oh, I will be a happy man. You'll bury me with some tartar sauce on the side. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Have a wonderful and safe Mardi Gras. If you're going to go out and celebrate, have a wonderful and safe time with that. All right. I want to start off as well with speaking of Vice. I want to give everyone before this goes crazy, because I have a feeling this story is going to go crazy here. We've got a new lethal disease out there. It's called Alaska pox. Now, if I'm Alaska, boy, oh boy, no one ever criticizes Alaska. So to put your name on a lethal disease, I imagine you're just thrilled by that. Health officials in Alaska have identified the first known death linked to a recently discovered virus called Alaska pox. Yee. Since its discovery in 2015, 7 Alaska pox infections have been reported, according to the State Department of Health. The most recent case was identified in an elderly man who died last month. This is the first case of severe Alaska pox infection, resulting in hospitalization and death, the health department said in a release last week. The man had a weakened immune system because of a cancer treatment, which probably contributed to the severity of the illness that he was having. Experts say that the illness is often mild, that infections remain rare in humans, as the virus is primarily found in small mammal populations throughout Alaska. I don't judge, but I'm going to presume it's because you're eating the small mammals. I'm going to hope that's because of that. Wow, there's about 4 jokes that just came to my mind that I cannot say on this radio station. I'll go with badger. Yeah, I'll go with that small mammal, the badger. Not the one that's in the water with the tail. No, I'm going to go with the badger. Hey, badger, how you doing? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just, no. 6 of the 7 cases have been mild or self-limited, so the patient didn't even need to get any supportive care from a healthcare provider, said Dr. Joe, state epidemiologist and chief of the Alaska section of epidemiology at the Alaska Department of Health. Still, there is a lot that isn't known about the Alaska pox, including how it spreads from animals to humans. Well, it's cold nights. Sorry. Hey, nice pelt. Yeah. If you're throwing the small woodland animals beads, I'm just going to, Mardi Gras, who doesn't love it? But I think you're going down the wrong path here. I mean, I'm wondering, I'm dead serious when I say, I'm wondering if this are the people that are getting infected by this, or these guys are out in the middle of freaking nowhere that are eating anything that walks by the place? You know what I'm talking about? You've seen some of the TV shows. It's like, I found this, I killed this blue jay. Now I'm going to make a pie. Really? Who doesn't love blue jay pie?
Oh, and I don't want to speculate, but I think just the lifestyles that some of these people lead just kind of is, whatever, or they can get their gun trained on.
Yeah. Speaking of lifestyles, if people confuse you with a Sasquatch, Old Spice. How about we go with that? The virus belongs to the Orthopoxia virus genus, which also includes better known viruses, such as Chris Hemsworth. Sorry. No, Chris Hemsworth is not a virus that is infecting people in Alaska. No. It's better known virus such as the smallpox and Mpox. Remember Mpox? That was monkeypox. That often infect mammals and cause skin lesions. So Alaska pox is related to them, and it's now jumping from animals to humans. Yeah, that's great. And just when I was thinking to myself, I didn't, what was going to be my reason to not go to Alaska? Well, Alaska pox. Is an old world virus. They say it's an old world virus typically found in Africa, Asia, and Europe. It's very possible that the virus has been present in Alaska for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Well, it is a big space and there's not many people out there. So, however, more Alaska pox cases coming to light does not mean the virus is becoming more prevalent in the state's small mammal population in recent years. No, it's coming more prevalent in the human population. Okay, I'm not a doctor here, but if all of a sudden you start seeing cases and we've got our first guy, lose to Alaska pox, this is becoming a slight problem. Now, does it warrant us shutting down the state? No. Does it warrant us, basically, masking and scrambling like we did with COVID to try to find an Alaska pox vaccine or something like that? No, I don't know if that's really necessary. It is a little scary when they call it an old world virus, because if it's something that hasn't been around for a while, how much ramp up time will we need to figure out a way to fight it? But, the fact that we all of a sudden have more and more human beings being infected by the Alaska pox, I don't know if that's necessarily something we should just kind of brush to the side and say, we're not sure how many mammals are out there. All right, just go get some hamburger helper, okay? Stop eating the critters around you, just for your own benefit, okay? No. Do not use beaver in the beaver helper, okay? Just okay. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show. February is AM 950 Listener Appreciation Month. We can't run the station without you, and we wanted to show you how much we appreciate you listening to us. How it works is pretty simple. Throughout February, we'll ask you to like posts on Facebook, sign up for our e-newsletter, and call into the shows. When you do, you'll have a chance at winning prizes like gift cards to restaurants, tickets to our listener appreciation events, and much more. It's our way of thanking you for being a listener to AM 950. You are appreciated. Thanks from everyone at the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950.
If stress, pain, or fatigue are part of your life, then consider that your pain and tension may be indicators of what's amiss in your life, and it's time for a new perspective. At Resolve Pain Guru, we're here to help you reconnect with yourself, release tension and pain, move better, and sleep better so that you can do more of what you love. You have the power to take control of your healing journey with our online 6-week Change Your Pain course. Learn somatic practices to tap into the wisdom of your body and then learn to trust your intuition. Challenge your thinking and embark on a transformative journey with Resolve Pain Guru as your guide, unlocking infinite rewards along the way. Experience the life-changing benefits of somatic practices at resolvepainguru.com. Register for our 6-week Pain Relief Starter Series and start your journey to a pain-free life of joy. That's resolvepainguru.com. resolvepainguru.com.
Hello, AM 950 listener. I know you. You take the news seriously. When you read the headlines these days, it makes you want to hang your head down and cry. Well, to hell with that. What you need is a laugh from the left. So, do yourself a favor. Listen to Facepalm America with host Beowulf Rockland every Sunday night at 9.
It takes teamwork to stay safe on Minnesota roads during the winter. You can help. When you see snowplows at work, slow down. Slower speeds can save lives. Don't crowd the plow and leave plenty of space between yourself and other vehicles. Keep your headlights on to see and be seen. Avoid distractions and always stay alert behind the wheel. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The local advertisers you hear on AM 950 are the lifeblood of the station. If you find yourself regularly tuning in, or if you appreciate the diversity of content we deliver, please take the time to support our advertisers. Even if it's just to thank them for backing AM 950, your voice and support can go a long way. Help keep the station going strong while investing in our local community. Find the complete list of on-air supporters by visiting the advertisers page at am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Tuesday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. The big deal last night was Jon Stewart's return to The Daily Show. He is, if you didn't know, it's been pretty popular. It's been something that was mentioned on the Colbert Show that they did after the Super Bowl. He's been on a lot of the other different networks as well. He basically, and I don't quite know what's going on behind the Daily Show, because I could have picked 4 or 5 of the hosts that they've had and put them in easily, and they would have been fantastic hosts. But they've just been somewhat, I don't know, they've been somewhat hesitant about where they're going to follow through with that. And so they're still in this kind of deciding stage, and Jon Stewart's back on Monday nights only to do the show. Now, last night, it's been interesting because there's been a lot of interesting reaction to what his message was last night. And I want to make sure you understand something about Jon Stewart that was Jon Stewart beforehand. And that is that he did regularly take swipes at Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and John Kerry through the years, definitively. I mean, he had a pattern of not just piling on the right. And I think with his return last night, he wanted to remind people that he is not just I rip on the right only kind of guy. And so he went out there and he took some swipes at Trump. He absolutely did. But he took by far more swipes at Joe Biden. But on one side, I understand what he's doing because, like I said, he's just trying to establish himself. This isn't going to be the Bash Trump channel. This is going to be the Bash Trump thing. I'm going to pick fights on both sides here because that's what I've always done. And Joe Biden is the sitting president of the United States. And so you can't just dismiss that little nugget of fact with it. The other side of it was he really, really went down the narrative path that a lot of conservatives have wanted to go down. First of all, he gave hers special the special counsel assessment of Joe Biden's mental health, which once again, he's not a psychologist. He's not a mental health expert. He's not a memory expert. He just basically took a swipe at Joe Biden and he kind of just skipped past that and went along with it. The other side of it is, he basically spent most of his time bashing on Biden. And if he wants to do that, that's what he wants to do. And the response I've seen on social media has been, a lot of people are like, okay, do you not understand what we're facing here? And to a point, I agree with that. I do feel as if I understand why Jon Stewart did this, because once again, I think he was trying to reestablish himself as this is not just the bash on Donald Trump hour. This is going, or half hour. This is going to be, cutting it both ways. But at the same time, I did feel as if it got to a point where, are you trying to basically get Donald Trump elected? Because it kind of felt like, even though his whole thing was, what did he call Election 2024 Antiques Roadshow? I thought that was pretty funny. But no, I think that it was a little heavy-handed. It is a parody show. It is a mock show that they make fun of the news, and they have, like I said, always made fun of the Democrats as well as Republicans, mainly the Republicans, because the Republicans do more crazy stuff. After tonight's show, if next week's another, just bash on Biden, I got to think that at that point, then, maybe something else is going on here. I mean, it did bug me that here he is starting this show, and at no point does he bring up him attacking Nikki Haley's husband for not being there part of her campaign, as he's currently stationed in Djibouti with the South Carolina National Guard on a military mission. And he doubled down on ripping on him for not being there, mocking the troops. He's mocking the troops. On top of that, you have Donald Trump saying that if NATO doesn't pay up, he's going to sick Vladimir Putin and Russia on them, and he's not going to do a thing to stop it. And by the way, I was looking at the Washington Post today. The vast majority of the NATO countries, Poland actually pays more to their GDP than the United States does. So they're there, but the majority are paying their bills. It's just this seems to be orders from Vladimir to basically threaten the European Union. And I have zero doubt when he comes back, I don't know what he's talking about. Biggest fan of NATO ever. And those are what you call low-hanging fruit. Those were there, let alone the attempts to basically get immunity from any of his crimes forever. The fact that, the insurrection case, the case in New York, the case in Atlanta, the case in Florida, the fact that he had all these boxes stacked in the hallways in Florida. There's all the low-hanging fruit, the E. Jean Carroll ruling, the fact that he himself, and he did play Trump clips of Trump saying, I don't remember any of these things, as well, to basically kind of push back on the idea that Joe Biden somehow is unqualified. And matter of fact, they had another point where he brought in, who is that weirdo from Arizona? She's the one that ran for governor and lost. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she basically, she was saying he's not old. He's like, he's 77. He's old. He's just old. You just you want the entire narrative to be Joe Biden's old, but not Donald Trump. No, they're both old. That's why the Antiques Roadshow joke was a hit. But you've got him, although he did play the depositions where, Trump is saying, I don't recall. My God, just start playing some of the clips from his speeches where he just seems to get lost and he doesn't seem to even know where he's at times. He didn't do that. So, like I said, I think part of this was him establishing himself as this is not just a one-sided deal, but as well, I do think that this was a little more heavy-handed, maybe because he's felt like, okay, here's Joe Biden, and maybe he's felt Joe Biden has gotten a pass, which he clearly hasn't. I mean, I'll be the first to say I'm looking at the news media right now in this country, and the news media in this country seems to have the mentality of, in July, it will be Joe Biden's a flawed candidate, and we're going to give Donald Trump a pass. And in August, it's going to be Joe Biden's a flawed candidate, and we're going to give Donald Trump a pass. And in September, it's Joe Biden's a flawed candidate, and we're going to give Donald Trump a pass. And October, it's Joe Biden's a flawed candidate, and we're going to give Donald Trump a pass. And then November, if God forbid Donald Trump wins, the first things out of their mouth is, well, boy, you Democrats sure had a flawed candidate. I'll go back to what I've said before. Joe Biden is an Arby's beef and cheddar. It's not the meal most of us want, but it still is food, technically. Donald Trump is actually a human crap sandwich. He's not even food. They're not the same. Let's remember that. I'm going to come back, talk about some other things, too. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950 and WCPT.
Your radio station for the Resistance, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us. The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we talk to Christopher Straub, artist, fashion designer, and children's author. We'll talk about Christopher's books, the inspiration behind his writing, where you can meet Christopher in person, and of course, his experience as a designer on Project Runway. Join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is Angela Warner for Warner Stellian. Buying a big ticket item shouldn't be stressful. Don't waste time wandering the paint aisles looking for help or arranging your own delivery, installation, and haul away, all with different contractors. At Warner Stellian Appliance, our specialists simplify the process and coordinate everything for you. And now through February 20th, save up to 55% instantly, and then get up to an extra 10% back on appliances from top brands. Shop now at warnerstellian.com.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Your hosts for Searching for Service. Tune in to Rotary's influential show and podcast, sharing touching stories of service locally and abroad.
We bring you weekly guests that connect, inform, and inspire our listeners on all things service.
We highlight diverse service opportunities that appeal to both Rotarians and people driven to serve in their communities.
Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcast. It's time
to stop searching
and start serving.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, cloudy with a high of 36. It remains cloudy through tonight with a low of 29. For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Broadcasting in the evening on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the afternoons, it's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. So I wanted to also, all right, I have been waiting for the proverbial shoe to drop, because I know that there's going to be a social media campaign presented by so-called, I'm just a regular guy or a regular voter, or I'm a Democrat, and I can't tell you how much I'm going to, I want Donald Trump to win, that sort of thing. Now, I want to go back to 2015, actually, because I remember distinctly back in 2015 that I started noticing on the social medias these strange Democrats, they're labeled Democrats, who basically were trying to make the argument, and they did unbelievably successfully on social media, primarily Twitter and Facebook, that there's no difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I'd be saying, you're crazy. No, there's a lot of difference. And they would describe, they were disguising themselves as upset Bernie supporters. And if you're like me and you like Bernie, the best thing you can do is send a message, because they're not different. And I would challenge these people, because the thing which was crazy was these were not exactly fly by night. It wasn't, Jack 10959567959567 mega on the account. It was people that had been commenting and interacting on my accounts, which lean left, but seemed to be all of a sudden saying these very pro-Trump stances. That and what I mean by pro-Trump is, once again, Hillary Clinton was actual edible food. Donald Trump was not. And it was clear that this was when I started confronting the people and saying, what are you doing, man? No, of course there's a big difference. No, there's not. They're the same. Well, either they were chronically being ignorant, or there was something else going on. And the fact that I kept seeing this pop up, not just from one account, but like 20 accounts that were just, and had a lot of followers who were out there saying, protest this time by not voting for either one of them. What's the worst that could happen? Well, now we know. But I remember after that election going up, I remember I stayed up all night long just saying, what did this country just do? And the next morning, one of the first things I did is went and tried to find some of those accounts. And funny, they had disappeared. All those accounts, and I had a list, I'd written them down. All those accounts had disappeared. And I said, wow, that was an interesting play. They basically disguised the political ad as just some regular guy walking down the street, and a ton of people fell for it. I've been waiting for this to happen this time. Now, the problem that, and by the way, I feel as if this whole thing with Twitter indeed was somewhat a part of a larger plan to control a narrative, that they thought, well, we'll get Elon Musk to be stupid enough to go buy Twitter for $44 billion. And, he'll be the front for this. And basically we'll basically get back to 2016 with Twitter, and we'll be able to brainwash people. And it's not gone that well. As a matter of fact, I was reading an interesting article about, at least in Minnesota advertisers, how most of them have bailed on Twitter now. And they're all on either Facebook or Blue Sky or Mastodon or Threads. Threads is picking up a lot of them. And this is why I think when Threads started, even Twitter, remember when Elon Musk started getting upset with Facebook, but because Facebook owns Instagram, which in turn is Threads is a spinoff of Instagram. But that is kind of that where a lot of these people have gone. And of course, there's other ones. There's Snapchat and Discord and stuff like that. But really, the source of a lot of the misinformation was Twitter. So I've been waiting. I have been waiting and waiting. And what is starting to happen now is I am seeing people. Now, a lot of this is geared in the plight of the Palestinians, in the case with Israel, is what's going on there. And they're trying to make an argument. And I'm going to read this, and this is Molly from Twitter, who has, and I'll post the I took a screen grab before I unfollowed her. And I'm just going to run through this. Now, first of all, I'm going to say the first tweet in this series of tweets includes a GIF from Kanye. Now, that is my first sign that something is really wrong here, because Kanye likes Hitler. And yeah, so if you're trying to use him as someone who's misunderstood, no, I don't think so. So, and like I said, this was kind of out of the blue. This all was the new thing. If you care more about the threat of Trump than the active genocide happening in Gaza, you are a morally depraved piece of blank. She doesn't say blank. Now, that's an interesting statement. That basically, and she continues on this. Let's see, 1 second here. You survived 4 years of Trump. That's the next sentence she has. You survived 4 years of Trump. They are exterminating the entire people for the crime of existing. Palestinians don't have a path to survival. We do. Get right. So basically, the argument is Trump wasn't that bad. We survived 4 years of him. They're not. Henceforth, if Trump wins, it's and this comes down to in this her point is that Joe Biden, she's not a fan of Joe Biden. I don't want Trump to win. That's why I blank hate what they're running Biden. It's not my job as the voter to make excuses for senility, genocide, and stagnation. It's their job to make me want to vote. Give me a reason to vote. And so I saw this today, and I said to myself, and the reason why I instantaneously unfollowed her was I said, okay, yeah, this screams at me 2016 again. The argument they're making is that Joe Biden, who, by the way, the story is today that he's actually investigating, there might be a chance that they're investigating Israel for war crimes right now. That Joe Biden somehow himself is responsible for Israel's treatment of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. That Joe Biden is the only person there that I guess Benjamin Netanyahu is not running Israel, that Joe Biden is, and he's making all the decisions, and Joe Biden, all this stuff. And basically, I'd rather go with Trump because, hey, we survived Trump. And so I'd rather go with that than go with Joe Biden. Now, here's where this, like I said, red flags immediately. First of all, like I said, this is exactly like this twisted logic that was trying to get pushed through in 2016, where it was, oh, there's no difference between the two. There's a substantial difference. Now, I'm going to go to your point about we survived 4 years of Trump. Barely. We barely survived. He tried to overthrow a legitimate election and overthrow the government of the United States of America. He did. He tried to do that with his supporters. He tried to do that. Absolutely. Undeniably. You think it's a good idea giving that guy another chance, another swing at the plate? How stupid are you? And I'm saying this to anyone out there, anyone on the left who tries to say, well, we got through it the first time. Barely. And if not for a handful of people, including the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence at the time, General Milley over at the Pentagon, the governors of Maryland and Virginia, if not for a handful of people, we would not have gone through that. But we did. But the more important thing here is this. Okay, you want to support Palestine. That's fine. You're upset that Joe Biden's not doing enough. You have that right to feel that way. I would say this is that there is tons of aid that the United States has sent to Palestine to help out the Palestinians, which the Israelis are just not letting into Palestine to let them the basic food and medical necessities these people need. They're not even letting that stuff in there. So we're sending stuff. We've got stuff in boats that they won't let off the boats. We've got stuff at the border that they won't let through the border. So it's not like the United States isn't trying here. That's a reality. That's just a truth. But Trump himself has said he will allow Israel to do whatever he wants to the Palestinians. And some of his supporters, some of Trump's supporters, have basically gone as far as saying, you can line up every Palestinian and put a bullet in their head. I do not care. So if you're concerned about the Palestinians, which this person supposedly is, to walk past that little nugget is where the real big red flags come on out. Because what you're saying is the guy who basically has said, we'll allow Israel to do whatever he wants and give him as much money as they wanted to do it, including, as his supporters have suggested, wiping out every Palestinian in the Gaza Strip. You're saying that that's the better option because you're upset with how the people in the Gaza Strip are being treated. Aha. Aha. Here's the thing which is really crazy. This isn't the first one of these I saw in the last few days. I've seen 3 or 4 people post basically kind of the same thing. And when people are like going at it, it's like, wait a second here. Okay, great, you support Palestine, but you do understand Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government, and Donald Trump wants to kill all Palestinians. The first thing out of their mouths, or their keyboards technically, is, you're against me because I just don't like Joe Biden. I'm the victim. Now, that's the most Republican thing you could possibly do. Make no mistake. I'm going to give you some advice. Don't engage with these people. Don't try to interact with them. If you see someone who is disguised as a Democrat or a progressive or someone on the left, and they're saying, well, we survived Donald Trump for 4 years. I'd rather do that again than go through another term with Joe Biden. Just block them, because they are clearly a plant. They are clearly a plant. They are not serious. They are not honest, because even if you are the most passionate about any issue out there on the left that you feel as if Joe Biden's not there, I freaking guarantee you the other side of the aisle is not going to get any much better for you. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a lot worse. Name the issue. Abortion? Republicans want to bring back, tie women to beds, basically. Half of them seem to want to do that now. The environment? Yeah, you've got Republicans from wanting to kill off every wolf in the country to let's strip mining everything and we don't need to protect water anymore. Healthcare? They want to bring back, well, you're poor, so you're going to die, and that's just what God wants mentality. Or when it comes to foreign policy, you can have a guy who just this last weekend said, I will forego our allies and let them get attacked by a foreign country because I don't like them, versus sanity. So just block them and walk away. They're starting to show up, and it's the same thing as 2016. They've got to convince you that somehow Trump and Biden are the same. They're not. We'll take a break. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, which is on the air on Saturdays at 5 p.m. I personally want to thank you for supporting my show and for supporting AM 950. So in turn, we want to celebrate you by dedicating February as Listener Appreciation Month. All month long, we will be giving away prizes to our listeners and creating ways to better connect with you. Follow AM 950 social media accounts for chances to win. So join us by making February fantabulous.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Reliability. It's something you demand, and it's something that Rudy Luther Toyota delivers. Consumer Reports just put out their 2024 list of most reliable vehicles, and 7 out of the top 10 are Toyotas, including the top 4, the 4Runner, the Camry Hybrid, the Camry, and the RAV4 Prime. The Highlander Hybrid, the Corolla, and the RAV4 also made the top 10. If 7 out of the top 10 most reliable vehicles are Toyotas, that tells you Toyotas overall are the most reliable brand. Get yourself a Toyota today. Head to Rudy Luther Toyota and test drive your favorite Toyota. Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169.
Whether you rent or own a home, we all likely have nightmare stories about home maintenance, or what I like to call home cringe moments. Join me, your host, Katie Shahan, for the Yarlow Home Cringe Show. See what home cringe-worthy stories we have for you each week as we talk with local home service pros. Learn best practices for winterizing your home or what to look for after a hailstorm. Listen to the Yarlow Home Cringe Show every Sunday at 2 p.m. or on your favorite podcast app.
Winter is here, and there's a good chance your home isn't being heated efficiently. And it's likely because of air sealing and insulation problems. Inadequate attic insulation is the leading contributor to high energy bills, cold rooms, and ice dams. Great news, the energy-efficient pros at Snap Construction can fix it all. Stop the heat from leaking out and save. Call 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com for your free infrared energy inspection. Install with Snap Construction and qualify for over $750 in rebates and incentives. State and city programs are now offering 0% financing for qualifying insulation upgrades. So call Snap Construction for your free insulation energy consultation and start saving on your energy bills. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed insulation and exterior contractor in the metro area.
Cause you gotta show up if we're gonna blow up. Come and hold your torches in the sky until we light up. No matter what they told us, nothing's gonna
It's Matt McNeil Show on your Friday, or on your Tuesday. It's Mardi Gras. I'm a little in the party mood. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We're doing a listener event up here today in Minneapolis, St. Paul, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'm a little geeked, a little excited. How about I say that? 952-946-6205. If you listen to me for any length of time, I am one of these people that says, insanity is to keep watching the gun carnage on the streets of America and keep thinking to yourself, you know what's going to make this better? More guns, because it's not. And I want to bring up here a story. This is from Raw Story today. Fueled by right-wing politicians and the powerful gun lobby, nearly 3/4 of firearm owners in the United States believe the enduring myth that a gun at the ready will keep them safer. But a new analysis offers the latest hard evidence that guns simply make life more dangerous and deadly for everyone. The Center for the American Progress joined a gun violence research group, GVpedia, to release the issue brief debunking the falsehoods pushed by the NRA and other pro-gun groups, which looked at countering the horrors of everyday gun violence in America, masterfully constructed a narrative based on a myth of the good guy with the gun using their weapon defensively to stop an armed assailant before the harm can be done. Listening to the former NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre and the right-wing lawmakers who count on the gun lobby's endorsement, one could hardly be blamed for conjuring the image of the good guy with the gun who frequently stops violent attacks from happening. But the analysis shows that is just not the case. And that's basically it's a lie. Surveys at the time when the NRA started pushing this narrative, including a widely cited study by Gary Kleck and Matt Gertz, basically came on out and estimated that now this is what their estimate was, between 760,000 and 2.5 million defensive gun uses occurred annually. That was their argument, that this is the success of gun ownership. That between 760,000 and 2.5 million defensive gun uses occurred annually. But the Harvard Injury Control Research Center found 2 years later that fewer than 550,000 burglaries occurred in gun owners' homes annually, while the Kleck and Gertz report estimated that guns were used for self-defense during burglaries approximately 845,000 times, which doesn't make any damn sense. Burglary victims would have need to use their guns defensively in more than 100% of the cases, which is, of course, impossible. So basically, the NRA made up stats to try to make more guns seem like the viable option. Until the myth of the good guy with the gun is defeated, Devin Hughes, founder and president of GVP Media, Americans will continue buying firearms in the mistaken belief that these guns will make them safer and the gun violence will continue unabated. Accurate information, the accurate information is impossible, is more difficult to find. Fighting America's epidemic of gun violence, just important, however, is countering inaccurate information. They analyzed data from the DGU, from the National Crime Victimization Survey, which estimated just 70,000 uses of instances per year. So basically, their study showed that it wasn't millions of good guys with the guns, as at best 70,000. The group found that 9 times as many people have reported being victimized by a person with a gun than being protected by a firearm. I want to repeat that one. 9 times as many people have been reported being victimized by a person with a gun than being protected by a firearm. Respondents to 2 Harvard surveys taken in 96 and 99 were 3 times as likely to report being threatened or victimized with a gun than having one used to protect themselves. In addition to putting the household at a higher risk of accidental gun injury or death, gun ownership also is not the safest means of self-protection. The NCVS data from 2007 to 2011 showed that of the 14,145 crime incidents in which a victim was present, less than 1% involved the DGU, someone using a gun. 11% of the victims who did not use the gun defensively reported being injured during the altercation. Almost the same amount reported injuries in cases of the victim using a gun. More than 38% of victims who used the gun defensively reported property loss, while less than 35% who defended themselves with a different weapon reported property loss. The idea that one is not safe unless they're carrying a gun is perhaps the most personal and insidious myth conceived by the gun lobby. What does improve safety is stronger gun laws, improved clearance rates, and investments in community violence prevention programming. The brief noted that people who intend to use their guns defensively are more likely to keep them unlocked, readily available, and loaded, substantially increasing the risk of unauthorized access by a minor, suggesting that a parent with a gun for self-protective purposes is unlikely to successfully use it for self-defense and is actively endangering their family members by having a gun. This, I don't think, is anything is surprising as this. I mean, I think the 9-to-1 ratio that people were threatened more with guns than basically were able to defend themselves on a 9-to-1 ratio is pretty stark. I grew up in a family with guns, hunting weapons. That was something that was there. I don't really have a problem with hunting weapons. To a point, I don't really have a problem with a personal defense pistol. I would not use one, but if someone wants to use one, fine. I don't think there's any need for anyone to have an assault weapon designed. If it was, when they sat down and they designed it to kill as many human beings as quickly as possible in a combat scenario. Then what the hell are we doing giving those people those on the streets? That's just a disturbing side of this whole argument. The reality is we need to desperately, and I do mean desperately, revisit the gun laws of this country. And truthfully, the gun issue has become so toxic. I brought up the point this weekend that Trump on Friday, was at the NRA annual meeting, and a lot of the media didn't even report that. And I think one of the reasons why they didn't report that is, well, frankly, most people are for common sense gun regulations now. But the reality is as long as the NRA and likely Russian money filtered through the NRA is buying off Republicans, nothing's going to get done. Chicago, have a good one. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Since 2012, we've been your go-to dining spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis. Indulge in classics like our scallops, steak tartare, Nightingale burger, and the irresistible chocolate pot de creme. Chef Carrie keeps it fresh with seasonal dishes. We have craft cocktails and curated wines for anyone's taste. And Mondays mean half-price wine bottles. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, can AI help us understand babies?
Can anything help us understand babies?
Well, AI is everywhere these days. Why couldn't it show us how children learn to speak?
Because babies aren't machines.
Aren't they at least screaming machines?
Ah, put me down, you Brobdingnagian blunderbuss!
He's a little cranky from teething.
AI and babies. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. A government report showing inflation has cooled, but is still high, was not greeted very well on Wall Street. At the close, the Dow finished down 524 points. President Biden is warning Republicans in the House of the stakes if they don't allow a vote on a bill passed in the Senate for aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Here's the AP's Sagar Magani.
You can't walk away now. That's what Putin's betting on.
The president says Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin must see that the U.S. stands with Ukraine and other allies.
Supporting this bill is standing up to Putin. Opposing it is playing into Putin's hands.
But the $95 billion bill faces a deeply uncertain future in the House, with hardline Trump-allied Republicans opposed. Speaker Mike Johnson has said it could be months before the bill gets to the president's desk, if at all. Ukraine backers hope the Senate's bipartisan support will put pressure on Johnson, with the nearly 2-year Russia-Ukraine war at a crucial point.
I urge Speaker Johnson to bring it to the floor immediately.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he spoke to Paul Whelan, who has been detained in Russia since December of 2018.
Our intensive efforts to bring Paul home continue every single day. And they will until he and Evan Gershkovich and every other American wrongfully detained is back with their loved ones.
There were rallies at 30 airports by flight attendants who want new contracts that include higher pay. Corliss King is a Southwest Airlines attendant in Chicago.
We are not standing down any longer to substandard contracts, to substandard conditions, to substandard wages for what we do.
Pilots won huge pay raises last year. At least one death has been reported from a winter storm in the Northeast. This is AP News.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-temperature performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through March 4th, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge or Edge High Mileage Full Synthetic and an oil filter for $36.99, only at AutoZone.
Claim based on Sequence 3H test versus API SP test limits.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
You know, honey, I think I deserve some kind of reward.
Here, have a pickle.
Thanks. After all,
I did find us the perfect house.
Have another pickle.
Thank you.
But remember, then I found out how much our house was going to cost.
Yeah, but then I found us the perfect mortgage. Got any more of these?
Sure, help yourself. But then I found out our perfect house had radon. The stuff you can't see, smell, or taste. And it's radioactive. And it's the second leading cause of lung cancer. Some dream house.
Yeah.
I need 2 pickles.
True. But then I found a phone number to call, 1-800-SOS-RADON, where you can get all the information you need to test and fix a home with a radon problem.
You did.
Yeah. And then I found out we were going to have a baby. So, your study, it'd be a perfect room for my mother.
Right. Now I need a phone number to fix a home with a mother-in-law problem.
Hey.
I'm in a pickle. Did you say baby?
Do we have any ice cream?
Protect your family from radon. Make your home safer. Call 1-800-SOS-RADON. 1-800-SOS-RADON.
With 2024 here, reserve space for your gathering, either for family, friends, work, or belated holiday get-together at the Park Tavern. The Park Tavern offers private and semi-private party spaces like their party room, the atrium, the 11th frame, and their bowling lanes, and they can accommodate any size party, large or small. They have bowling, food, and beverage packages for any budget, and they're ready to help you every step of the way, making your job fun and easy. For more information or to schedule your event, call 952-929-6810 or go to parktavern.net. Getting the party started is easy with help from the Park Tavern.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, cloudy with a high of 36. It remains cloudy through tonight with a low of 29. Don't miss the Randy Rainbow for President Tour. Randy Rainbow is bringing his acclaimed act to the State Theater in Minneapolis Friday night, February 23rd. Get your tickets today at randyrainbow.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour 2 of the show here on your Tuesday. Matt and Patrick here on a Mardi Gras day. I hope you're having a good one out there. Usually, last hour we mentioned that Brett is on vacation. Usually he records an interview with Patrick Cooligan at the Minnesota Reformer on Tuesdays, and we air that. Unfortunately, Brett is off enjoying some time off, and good for him. So it falls onto me, and this is going to be a treat here because joining me right now is Michelle Griffith. She is a writer over at the Minnesota Reformer, and she's covering the Capitol in St. Paul. She's kind enough today to talk about the beginning of session today and some of the stories she's been writing. Michelle, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So first of all, I mean, I'll do Son of the Cross. It's Ash Wednesday tomorrow. I'll do Son of the Cross for you because I know you're a political reporter, and this is just beginning. But it's not going to be as long. I mean, I shouldn't say off year. It's it's election year, but it's this second year of the legislative term. The session generally doesn't go as long as the first year of a term, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And this year they don't have to pass a budget, and an off year is usually time for an infrastructure package and any policy bills that they want to do. And actually, Speaker Melissa Hortman yesterday said that, when she looks back at the 2024 session, she wants it to be described as short. So it seems like she wants to get things wrapped up and completed as soon as possible.
You have in the agendas I see getting played out here. On one side, I think I see kind of the DFL coming in there and saying, basically, don't create any traps for yourself with the election year coming up here. You did a lot last year. Clean up some of these bills. Look at that infrastructure, the bonding bill. See if you can get that passed, and try to prevent any major gaffes from happening. Is that a fair way to say how the DFL seems to be approaching this session?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at things. I do think, though, that they will look at some policy choices that they've been trying to get passed for years. So, you have the sanctuary state issue. It looks like that may be losing support now. A couple senators have said that they will not support the proposal, but it is one where Republicans are going to remind the Democrats that the House is up for re-election, and we will hold you to account to what you guys do today. It just seems that everyone is going to look at things through the November lens.
Well, and we'll start with, let's talk a little bit more about that issue. I think that issue is that's a bit of a trap for the Democrats. And I'll say it like this, is that the Republicans have already written up the ad campaigns against that. I mean, as a matter of fact, you had the head of the Minnesota Republican Party already talking about, look what they're trying to do. I think that if you don't have the votes, I mean, if it's not a surefire way to do it, for you to bring it up and argue it and debate it and really push it, all you're doing is giving ammunition to your political opponents who are definitely trying to take back the House this next session. And so far, I'm not saying that the DFL has done a good job, a great job rather, of kind of keeping these issues at bay, but there's a lot of issues the Republicans have tried to make hay out of that somewhat have fallen by the wayside. And the fact that they're dealing with the SRO issue, the DFL is dealing with the SRO issue, trying to get that off the table very quickly. It doesn't give a lot of things for the Republicans to use as political fodder. So when you look at the sanctuary state bill, do you think there's a substantial, I mean, is it close in your mind? Have you heard word if it's close to passing, or is it really still missing enough votes in the House and the Senate?
Well, Dina Winter here at the Reformer reported yesterday that, it appears the sanctuary state bill is dead on arrival. Speaker Hortman yesterday at a press conference after the floor session said that she doesn't believe there are the votes this year for the sanctuary state bill, and she just doesn't believe it's going to move forward in the House or the Senate. So it is one of those bills that, maybe doesn't have a long lifeline this year.
The SRO bill, I mean, it's that one seems to be on light speed. I mean, the DFL wants to get that one out of the way quick. I think it's already been introduced, hasn't it? The fixes that they want to do have already been introduced.
Yeah, yep, it's already been introduced. It's going through its second committee hearing today, and then tomorrow it'll be in Ways and Means, which is usually the last committee stop before it goes to the floor. So, I mean, the House could be voting on it as soon as this week. And yesterday, Governor Walz said that he expects the SRO fix to be one of the first bills on his desk, ready to sign. So it looks like lawmakers are wanting to move quickly on that.
Are there any other bills that the DFL are looking at light speeding through and trying to get those done earlier than later?
Yeah, there is a tax fix. So last year in their tax bill, there was oversight that if they don't fix it, over 2 years could cost Minnesota taxpayers $352 million. So they're just trying to get that done as soon as possible. That's already had a couple hearings as well. And, that's one where, that's one where it seems Democrats are trying to get that through quickly so it doesn't become an election issue as well.
The bonding bill, well, that's the big beast. That's the big beast. You do need to have in both the House and the Senate Republican votes along with it. It generally in the minority party creates some level of friction because the majority party has a tendency of looking, kind of hand selecting a few senators or House reps that they know that need something, making sure that's in the bill and making it much tougher for that Republican to vote against it. What is the sense that you have right now hearing from the Republicans and the Democrats? Do you feel as if there's going to get one passed, or, I'll bring up in 2022, the Republicans walked away from a deal and desperately wish that they could get that one back. I don't know if they've learned that lesson. Do you take the deal that's on the table if you can get a deal now, because there's no guarantee you're going to have the House come after November?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so both sides have said that bonding bill is a priority for them this year. They want funding for critical works like water, roads, bridges, nuts and bolts. And I talked to I talked to Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson last week, and he said that Republicans are ready to use the leverage that they have to influence the bonding bill. So last year, Republicans were successfully able to leverage their vote to get $300 million in nursing home funding. Mm-hmm. That was something last year that they were advocating for all session. And, in the final days, Democrats finally folded and, they were able to get the votes for the bonding bill. So Senator Johnson said that he is prepared to do the same this year. And this year, he doesn't want to see any what he calls pet projects in the bonding bill. So last year, Republicans were not happy with the amount of nonprofit funding that was in the bonding bill. And so Johnson, said this year he does not want to see like funding to nonprofits or interest groups. He wants, kind of the nuts and bolts of what is typically in a bonding bill.
One thing, though, that is in a lot of the Republican districts that they need is the water treatment issue. I mean, we have nitrates in the waters that, and just frankly, the water treatment facilities we have can't take the stuff out. We need to get these upgraded. In some places in red districts, they actually need to re-drill wells for the city to get new water because the wells have been going dry. Obviously is that, I mean, I think of all the issues that might be facing the Republicans, those might be the ones at the top of the list. Has there been any discussion on that? Have you heard?
I have not heard specifically about the, water facilities, but I do know that Republicans in the bonding bill, they want an even distribution of projects. So they don't want just a cluster of projects being funded in the Twin Cities. They want funding for their districts, obviously. So they're going to try to advocate for a bill that evenly funds projects across the state and, gets their constituents what they need and, tries to do that in kind of a facilitated, streamlined way.
Okay, and I'm going to bring up the obvious here. It's not going to be a 50-50 bill, though, that's generally the case. If they are basically of the mindset is that we have to have the same equal amount of money spent in our districts as your districts, I don't think the Democrats, the DFL, wants to make it look like they have caved to the Republicans in an election year. I don't think it's going to get done. I mean, they do understand that they're going to have to, the bulk of this goes with the majority in the same sense as when the Republicans have been in charge in a long while back, but they would get the majority of the projects in their districts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it likely won't be 50-50, but, we don't really know exactly yet. The governor has proposed his bonding package, and we haven't seen the legislatures yet. So we don't have a good idea exactly of what projects they're looking at, but the Republicans say that they're ready to, they basically left it open-ended in that we're willing to use our bonding votes to leverage whatever issue will come up towards the end of the session. So, Speaker Johnson was asked, I'm sorry, not Speaker Johnson, but Minority Leader Johnson was asked, for the bonding bill leverage, is there an issue specifically that you're looking to gain favor on? And he just kind of left it open-ended and said, we'll see how it goes, but that's something we will definitely use this year.
Did they mention anything? Did either the minority or the majority in the House or the Senate talk about Walz's proposals yet? Has there been any formal announcement on what they agree with, disagree with?
No, not on the bonding bill. It is usually they are pretty close to the governor's proposal, and the governor's proposal this year has very little cash in it. So a lot of the funding will be through borrowed bonds. And last year there was, a bonding bill funded with, general obligation bonds and all cash bill. So it looks like this year it'll be a majority borrowing through obligation bonds bill. But no, as of right now, we don't really know what they're looking at.
Joining us right now, once again, talking about the launch of the new session, Michelle Griffith from the Minnesota Reformer. You were there, speaking of issues that sometimes can pop up, you were there on day one. Your article, ERA, Mardi Gras, and Apple Blondies, that was it was day one at the session. You do get these issues, these people who are very passionate show up and really push for an issue to be brought up. I know the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment, that's one that's been pushed for a long time. Do you feel as if there's anything that might be kind of a little bit out of left field, maybe that's, could end up becoming an issue that is brought to the floor?
The one thing that comes to mind is Representative Lee Finke yesterday introduced a bill to ban the sale and transfers of automatic rifles such as AK-47s and AK-15s. And the Minnesota Gun Caucus has, come out strongly against it. And, it appears like yesterday, Moms Demand Action was one of the groups who were at the Capitol, advocating for this. So it seems like that one is one that could really get people fired up and passionate. I did ask Walz yesterday whether he would support an automatic rifle ban, and he said he would need to look at the language, but he doesn't want to see these military style rifles in schools. He even said he doesn't want to see it in the Capitol building. He has advocated for smart safe gun regulation. So it's something that he could be looking at, but he said he will need to look at the language first.
You as well. One other last story I want to bring up that you covered, which was the basically the governor and the House and Senate leaders at the Chamber of Commerce event that they had. I believe this was over in St. Paul. And it's interesting because you did get they did get some answers there on some of these issues. Sports betting passing this year. It seems like that might go through, although correct me if I'm wrong. The last time it didn't go through because basically the DFL wanted it to be in Native American casinos only, and the Republicans were insisting no, it has to be over at Canterbury and Running Aces as well. Have you heard of any conversations that have happened on that level?
Yeah, so Senator Jeremy Miller in the Senate has proposed his own sports betting bill, and that bill would give exclusive licenses to the 11 tribal nations in the state, but it also would provide some tax revenue from the bets that would go straight to the horse racing tracks. And that's something that's probably not going to go through as the process gets going, just because, DFL is very aligned with the Native American tribes, and, funding for the horse racing tracks is not something that they are in favor of. And we're told that Senator Matt Klein is proposing his own proposal for sports betting that also, gives control to the tribal nations. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but it seems like both, like they said they are working bipartisanly to try to get something through, just because it is something that a lot of Minnesotans do want. In my story yesterday, I wrote that majority of the leaders said that, what are the odds of sports betting passing this year? It's about 50-50, but Speaker Hortman did say it's 60-40 in favor. So it seems like she has maybe bumped up her percentage, because last week she said maybe 50-50 it would pass. So maybe she's seeing some hope on the horizon in terms of sports betting, but no, it should be interesting to see how that furthers along as the session goes.
For those hoping that from this chamber event, those hoping that we'd become more like Wisconsin and have beer sales in convenience store and grocery stores, all four of them very quickly said, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So that was definitely off the table.
Yep.
Then you have this, the point, when you look back at the 2024 session, how do you want it to be described? Repairing the damage from last year. That's the Minority Leader Johnson bringing that up, the Senate Minority Leader. That doesn't sound like, it sounds like there's much more of angst there. Now, obviously, there is a political aspect. You can't remove the political aspect of this. And they're looking at 2024, and they're looking at the election coming up here. And what they don't want is to appoint a quiet session, because they want issues to be able to run on. But, I'm not sure I'm seeing necessarily anything there. And we've talked about some of the things. The child tax credit, the school lunch things. These are wildly popular bills. So saying you're going to repair the damage from last year, I don't know. Obviously, you're going to cherry pick what you're going to do. But if the DFL is already addressing some of those mistakes, the tax issue and the SRO issue. Do you think there's a lot that they're going to go back on? I don't sense, at least I don't sense, you're there every day. Do you sense that there's enough regret from the DFL on any of those issues from last year that they might actually overturn one of them?
No, I don't get that sense at the Capitol.
Okay.
DFL lawmakers are very proud of what they did last year. They did make a couple mistakes, which they said are going to be resolved very quickly here in the coming days. But, I've heard that they're planning just to build on what they started last year. So, in terms of maybe keeping things more reserved with the election coming up, it doesn't appear that that's something the DFL wants to do. It looks like they're going to continue with their progressive priorities. And, I don't see them looking at things they passed last year again.
I'm going to bring up one thing, and this is, Carrie Dietzich was the Senate Majority Leader. She had to step down because her cancer has returned. All my best to her and her family. And Aaron Murphy has taken over as the new Senate Majority Leader. Obviously, with a 1-vote majority in the Senate, whether or not people think it's appropriate, we have to ask the question: is there a concern that Carrie will be able to get through the rest of this session?
Senator Murphy was asked about that. She wasn't there yesterday when on the first day of session. Her desk was empty. But, Senator Murphy basically said that's a private issue and something she couldn't talk about. But the Senate does have remote voting, practices in place. So if there were to be consequential vote on something, Senator Dietzich could vote remotely. She did that last year when she was getting a lot of her cancer treatments. So, she was voting from the hospital bed, I was told. So, and I was also told that the doctors told her, like, please stop working. She's such a workhorse that she couldn't stop. So, I think Dietzich is going to try her hardest to be there and show up for her caucus. But, there are mechanisms in place that she can use to vote remotely. But, it is a concern, that she might not be there, on the ground. But, obviously she did this last year. I mean, she was getting treatment and being the Senate Majority Leader. So, she has experience on this, and I think her caucus is supporting her, and they're going to do what they can to make sure that she's representing her folks the best that she can and is doing the work.
And I'm glad they're doing it. And glad it's not like the federal government where they wheeled the one guy in with a hospital gurney on, the hospital clothes on, in a wheelchair to make the vote. It's good that we do have some options there. All right, Michelle. All my best. If I know you, I know many of the other people that do the cover the Minnesota legislature. I know the next few weeks, next few months are going to be really busy. I can't tell you how much I really appreciate the time. I appreciate as well the great stories in the Minnesota Reformer, and I want to drive everyone to go get your Minnesota legislature coverage over at the Minnesota Reformer. They got Dina and yourself over there covering it, and I don't think you could ask for better coverage, frankly. So I thank you very much. I really appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great.
My pleasure. Michelle Griffith from the Minnesota Reformer, kind enough to join us. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
There's a space in my heart when it all comes crashing down. Anytime I hear your name.
Hey, it's Patrick. February is the month for love. So when's the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you are breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their Love Your Rug special. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $119 and a free hallway. And don't forget dirt and dander's favorite hiding place either, your air ducts. This month, take $75 off when you get your air ducts Zero Res clean. Call Zero Res right now or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. If you're a business owner, protect your employees and customers by getting your business zero-resified by the pros at Zero Res. Call today for your commercial cleaning estimate. Backward or forward smells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, AM 950 listeners. This is JP Derbogosian. I host This Career Book Saved My Life and The Gailey Show. And I want to say on behalf of myself and my executive producer, Jim Pounds, we appreciate you a lot. You have given us such a warm welcome. Your calls and emails of support have meant the world to us. There aren't a lot of AM radio stations and their listeners who support queer creators like you do. So thanks for listening, and here's to another excellent year of progressive radio and queer progressive radio.
Moe's Tax Service in St. Paul is seeking experienced tax preparers and people who'd like to learn to be on their support team. Full and part-time positions are available throughout the tax season. Moe's is open Monday through Saturday and evenings. To find out more, call 612-721-2026 or send an email to info@moestax.com. That's info@mohstax.com. In business since 1971, Moe's Tax Service. Visit moestax.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hi, I'm Scott Peterson with the Minnesota News Network, inviting you to join us this week for Minnesota Matters, a news, entertainment, and sports show covering everything that matters in the North Star State. Tune us in right here or at your convenience at minnesotanewsnetwork.com.
Listen to Minnesota Matters every weekend, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Could have been a little less strange that night. I was feeling down and my mood wasn't right.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So one really quick thing here I want to talk about Michelle Griffith's coverage of that Chamber of Commerce meeting. There are two things I want to mention. First of all, the photo that goes along with it, and I've seen this photo in other places too. I find it kind of interesting that the Senate minority leader and the only male of the leadership group sat next to the Tom Hauser, who is the KSTP political reporter who was the MC of the event, and that they put the actual majority leader of the Senate next to him, and then the Speaker of the House was at the very end. You would think that just by respect of the position that you put it down there. I thought I thought it was. I'm not saying anything. I just said I thought that was an interesting image, and almost wonder if that was by design. That being said, there is one thing I go back and forth on all the freaking time. There is one question in one to three words. How are businesses in your district describing the 2023 session? The Senate minority leader, confusing. The House minority leader, unfathomable. Hortman, the speaker, said better for workers. And the new Senate majority leader, Aaron Murphy, said, thank you. Many in the room laughed. That's what she says. The people are saying thank you. Many in the room laughed and scoffed at Murphy's answer. And part of me just asked the question. And this is a legit question because this can go either way. Does it do you any good for a DFLer to go to a hostile group who wants to openly mock and ridicule you? And as a matter of fact, the chamber president let me see if I can find what he said here. This is the chamber president and CEO, Doug Loon, told the 1,700 attendees at the Chamber St. Paul River Center annual legislative priorities dinner, the agenda passed by the DFL trifecta, some of whom were in the room last year, hurt businesses and caused many to consider leaving. Actually, more businesses are coming to Minnesota than leaving. So yeah, it sucks to be wrong there, doesn't it? High costs have put us at a competitive disadvantage as other states currently reduce their taxes and reduce their regulatory burdens. But yeah, there is nothing helping the people there or the workers, but okay, fine. We now have the highest corporate tax rate in the country. This inhibits economic output and limits business. A funny story, actually, it doesn't. Minnesota is actually one of the best states for business in the country. And so you're already going into a place where Loon here apparently, and paraphrasing and kind of, taking a little liberty, but saying, he wants to get his finger in front of these Democrats' faces and tell them, you're destroying our state. Well, they're destroying their state from their perspective. That's what he wants to say. And when Aaron Murphy says a statement, what are the business leaders in your district telling you? Well, thank you. And they openly mock and ridicule. The question I have is this: why are you there? Because let me make sure we understand something about the Republican minority leaders. Say there's Save the Boundary Waters group. Save the Boundary Waters group. If don't want to have mining, they're having an annual get-together. And they invite all 4 of the House and Senate leaders to show up and speak and have a talk and a panel and discuss things. You know who's not going to be there? The Republicans. The Republicans are not going to be there because they already know they're on the wrong side of that issue. And so they'll just not show up. And they don't get criticized for that. On the other side, I guarantee you if the Democrats wouldn't show up for this chamber meeting, they would be criticized. But does it do you any good to just go there and be the fodder and the punchline of the jokes? So, God, you got him. Zinger. Because, the CEO of the chamber sounds like a douche nozzle, man. He just sounds like a jerk. And I get it. You're out there advocating for your group. But, it's like I said, would they ever go after a Republican if the Republican showed up? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I just think you have to, if you're the Democrats, if you're the DFL leadership, you need to figure out a better balance here, because does it do you any good to go there and be mocked and ridiculed and insulted to your face? No. Does it look like you've got integrity that you actually show up to the event? Sure. And I have zero doubt that somebody from the chamber was going up to the Democrats afterwards and saying, hey, I know that there's some tough language here, but, hey, just don't feel like we don't appreciate some of the things that you've done here. You're trying to, to be the good cop to the bad cop sort of thing. I have zero doubt that was going on. But at the same time, it doesn't do you any good. And the Republicans never put themselves out there either. And maybe what I should say is this: if you are the leadership of the DFL, maybe you make a deal with the Republicans and saying, okay, first, we're going to go talk to Friends of the Boundary Waters, and we're going to go do their panel, and you need to show up for that. And if you show up for that, then we'll show up for the chamber event. Because it sure seemed like this was an event being put out there to basically, push the Republicans. It just, like I said, I think it's a legit question. Is there value, or is there no, is it just basically an opportunity for you to get humiliated by the chamber? Because, frankly, the Democrats keep winning regardless of what the Chamber of Commerce keeps saying. So, my mentality is let them complain, because the DFL did a lot for Minnesota businesses, and they did a lot for the Minnesota workers. And you see is when they sit there and they talk about these other states, it's that second part they want to omit. Sure, you're doing a lot for businesses, but they're not doing a damn thing for the workers. And so I think we need to make sure we put that in perspective a little bit. All right, let's take a break. Come on back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come back at the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hey, Twin Cities, it's Latunji from Latunji's Palette. We're celebrating 5 years in business. Latunji's Palette. It's a place for gourmet pastries, sandwiches, drinks, and so much more. Come on over and visit us at 1400 Park Avenue South. Feel the connection of food and community. Also, we want you to look for our famous peach cobbler and other gourmet goodies at Eastside Food Co-op, Hy-Vee, Lunds and Barley's, North Market, and more. Learn more at latunjispalette.com, where we're built with purpose, fortified with love.
I'm having a really hard time lately, and I'm worried no one will understand what I'm going through.
I feel so alone. I wish there was somebody I could talk to.
If you're looking for support, Mental Health Minnesota is here for you, with connections to others who have also struggled with their mental health and can provide support and resources. Services are anonymous, confidential, free of charge, and open 7 days a week. Connect today at mentalhealthmn.org or call 855-HERE-FOR-MN today. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 29. Then Wednesday, a chance of snow late in the afternoon with a high of 40. Don't miss the Randy Rainbow for President Tour. Randy Rainbow is bringing his acclaimed act to the State Theater in Minneapolis Friday night, February 23rd. Get your tickets today at randyrainbow.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Looking forward to the meet and greet going on tonight. Once again, ticketed event. There are no tickets available at the door. This is you had to win the tickets. We want to congratulate all the people that did win. Looking forward to seeing you tonight, 6 to 8. Here is the deal. Don't worry. You're saying, hey, I've been left out. It's Listener Appreciation Month. What the heck's going on? Don't worry, my friends. Starting tomorrow on this show, I think we got Lewis Black tickets tomorrow. Lewis Black is going to the Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour. He's going to be at Mystic Lake on the 26th of April. Got a pair of tickets for them that's coming up here on Wednesday, tomorrow. On Thursday, Randy Rainbow for President Tour. That's going to be on Friday, February 23rd at the State Theater. We got a pair of tickets for that. We're going to looking forward to that. And then on Friday, another pair of the Lewis Black tickets. So listener appreciation continues here on the Matt McNeil Show. Thank you very much. We're doing this all month long. And trust me, the grand prize is huge. We got stuff in Robert's show at Native Roots Radio right after my show. Bakken's show tonight, 10 o'clock. It's Ghost Box Radio. Make sure you're listening to them. It's just our little gift to you. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate all that you've done for us. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So, Patrick, have I ever told you the story of trying to mail a postcard when my kids were little? I worked as a marketing manager for a company called Blakeway Panoramas. Great company, very pretty pictures. Go look at Blakeway Panoramas. They're very solid. And I was out in Vegas, and I was working in the Vegas area. And I went to mail a postcard for my kids. They were young at the time, from Vegas. And I go over now. If you are in Minneapolis, St. Paul, you go past a post office. There's usually a mail drop box outside. I could not find one, and so I went inside to what could only be described as like a Swiss bank level of security in the Las Vegas post office.
I have not heard this story, but that does not surprise me.
So apparently, and this was a long time ago in Vegas. Not it's just starting here, but this was a long time ago in Vegas. In Vegas, they started stealing the mailboxes and they'd rip them out. They'd wrap a chain around them, drive away, and then they'd go through the mail and see, take any checks and anything like that and try to cash them and stuff like that. It's the desperation. They then went out and encased the mailbox in concrete. Someone tried to blow it up from the inside, which that didn't work too well. It just destroyed all the mail. Then someone stole a cement truck, rammed it into it, and then when they knocked it free, they stole it there. That was when they stopped doing a mail drop-off in Vegas. Oh, God. Well, it does not surprise me. This is something that's going on. Although I will say most of the mailboxes I know at post offices now, they're the big ones that I don't think you really can just yank them off the ground. But I guess if someone tries hard enough, they're going to do some damage. Someone has taken mail theft to new lows in St. Paul by stealing 3 blue collection boxes, the entire box, from their public locations by cutting them free from the ground according to an official with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. The boxes were later recovered, but neither the exact spot where they're taken from nor where they're found was being disclosed for now as the investigation continues. Those postal investigators. It's the check is in the mail. There you go. I think I see a new CBS procedural here. I'm all over this. The federal agency that protects the mail is the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. The boxes were taken sometime in early January from an area that Williams said was not a high-volume location for mail delivery. The boxes were cut into, said Williams, but it's unclear if mail was stolen since it's not known how much mail they contain when the boxes were taken. USPS uses a network of nearly 440,000 blue collection boxes nationwide, and the theft of one of those boxes is rare, said Williams. It's not a frequent occurrence outside of Vegas. Well, and like I said, that was a long time ago in Vegas. Apparently, that was a long time ago. They stopped that. Crimes against letter carriers have spiked in recent years, however, including armed robberies less than 24 hours apart in the carriers of Edina and Brooklyn Center last fall. Thieves have been targeting mail for a variety of reasons, including cash washing schemes in which information is stolen from real checks to create fake checks using real bank account numbers. The National Association of Letter Carriers said it held a press conference last month calling for more protections for members of their group, citing statistics that show some 2,000 violent attacks on letter carriers nationwide since 2020. The USPS stepped up the efforts last year to reduce postal crimes in response using enforcement surges and secure collection boxes, new electronic locks to thwart criminals. I think it's one of the things I did not realize. And this kind of, you want to talk about realizing you growing up in a more, gilded part of the country. I didn't realize that there were some places where the Postal Service just wouldn't refuse to drop off mail because it was so dangerous in some of the places that they wouldn't send a postal carrier out. And even if they did, and the postal carrier was able to deliver the mail, that people would rip open the boxes and take the mail, which, that's a sad reality in some places, but I thought they had addressed some of that stuff. And I think like most apartment complexes and condos now have actually much more secure mail facilities, and most of them are under camera too. So I don't think that is nearly the problem that it used to be. I got to tell you, one thing that really is amazing is the amount of people that you get something delivered. I'm lucky. I've got notifications on that will tell me when something's been delivered. You got to get that off your porch fast, because there's a lot of people out there who that you get something not dropped off, it's going to walk, and it's going to walk really quickly. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Stop this. Remember, I just talked yesterday about, I was walking on the parks and I saw where the idiots basically dismantled the street lights because they're trying to get the wiring out of them. Stop it. For God's sakes, man. Just stop it. I want to, how Republicans like to scream, liberals want to defund the police. Well, technically, there are a lot of places where police are getting defunded, but it's not in the liberal areas. It's in the Republican areas. Interim Police Chief Chad Pattison is a force of one overseeing law enforcement for the northeastern Minnesota city of Moose Lake. You drive through it if you're on 35 heading to Duluth. 2 officers resigned from the typically 5-person force last month, and 2 others, including the chief, last summer. This week, the city council could decide to stick with Moose Lake Force or sign a contract with Carleton County to have 4 of its deputies oversee it, a controversial choice for the city of 2,600. It is small town America, and the people want to keep their police department. They love their law enforcement here. I'll come back to that statement. Moose Lake, about 40 minutes southwest of Duluth, is the latest in a string of small Minnesota towns struggling to keep up with public safety demands and increasing costs and a shortage of officers throughout the state. The entire police force resigned in Goodhue, Minnesota in August. 35 municipal police officers throughout the state have dissolved since police departments, throughout the states have dissolved since 2016. 35. According to records kept by the Minnesota Board of Peace Officer Standards and Training, about 400 remain, though. With police under more scrutiny in the last decade, fewer people are joining the profession, said Jim Mortensen, executive director of the Brooklyn Center-based Law Enforcement Labor Services. Nearly 260 agencies in Minnesota had jobs posted last week. So there's 400 agencies and 260 have open positions. You're looking for a job, I'm just going to say. Rural cities paying less than urban centers play a big role in the problem, Mortensen said, noting pay for the Moose Lake officers is near the bottom of for cities statewide with populations between 2,000 and 5,000. You've got a lot of communities and counties that are throwing money at this to attract candidates, and those that are working in these smaller communities are sliding over for more pay. Okay, so basically, just in the communities from 2,000 to 5,000 people, what you've got is a lot of people who are, some communities are like, hey, we got to pay top dollar if we want to get cops. And the police officer is saying, well, if I'm going to do the job here, I can do the job there. I'd rather go do the job there. Public safety would make up a major portion of the Moose Lake's $2.8 million 2024 budget, about $900,000 for a 5-person force, said Elisa Owens, its city administrator. Nearly 90% of property tax proceeds alone would have gone to the police department after a 28% cost increase due to the police health insurance changes, she said, forcing a reliance on local government aid to pay for other city departments. The city council chose to reduce the size of the force to be able to fund the department, opting against replacing 2 of the officers last fall. Now it will consider moving to a 4-person Carleton Sheriff's team that will work out of Moose Lake, a cheaper option than one that covers more shifts. Now, I want to add, before I read the last line that I saved here, I want to add one thing that they're going to do. They wanted to create, because of Moose Lake, and sometimes it depends on where the county is and what the case is, that you create a tax zone where taxes for the communities. So if the police department is going into 1 or 2 other neighboring municipalities, that you create a tax zone, that the taxes raised go pay for the police officers. They've tried that a few times, but it has not been successful. They have not been able to get that done. Now, that being said, here's the line from Owens. The city is not defunding law enforcement. Okay. All right. I get it. You have this mentality that, and I mean, tell me a small town that's not like this. This is a great place to raise kids. It's a great place to have a family. It's a great place to work. And so you go on out there and you try to recruit police officers to come to the town and say, hey, it's quality of life. You can't beat it. You're by Duluth. You're only, an hour and a half north of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Good place to be. But you're not paying them what they're worth. Why would you think that they're going to sit around? What you need to do is raise your taxes to pay them the salary that they need to keep a police force there. And it's not a substantial amount. You've tried to create this tax zone, as I mentioned. That's one way you can do it, but you've not been successful, even though you know that we need money for the police. So when you sit there and you say, the people want to keep their police department, they love their law enforcement here, well, they don't really, because it sounds like multiple times you guys have tried to create a system where you can pay, you love the police by giving them the salary that they deserve, and it's just not worked. And now it looks like you're going to have to contract out from the county sheriff's department, which may or may not be more expensive. So, when you sit there and you say, we're not defunding the police, well, you're not funding the police at all. And as you keep your salaries stagnant and not increasing for inflation or the competition for other communities that are picking apart your police departments and picking them in and taking their officers and putting them on their new police force, what would you call it? Because I would call it you're defunding the police because you're not paying them what they're worth. So maybe Republican America should stop defunding the police. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break, come on back, wrap up the show. When we do return, it is the Matt McNeil Show on your Tuesday. Do you want a fast way to save money? It's easy with Rudy Luther Toyota. Start with the Luther Advantage Card. With every new and used vehicle purchase, you'll get 3 years of 10 cents off per gallon of gas at holiday station stores, as well as discounted Works car washes for only $6. Plus, the Luther Advantage Card gets you other benefits too. See their website for details. And Rudy Luther Toyota wants to buy your used vehicle. They'll ensure a great offer. Go to RudyLutherToyota.com for the details. Saving money and getting you a fair price is easy with Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
The new year and the new eagle have arrived at the National Eagle Center. When you visit this winter season, you can meet and learn about the newest bald eagle ambassador, Perseus. Plus, the center is your headquarters for winter eagle information and experiences, including weekly winter bald eagle counts, golden eagle information, unforgettable expert-led field trips, and small group private eagle habitat tours for your friends and family. Make eagles part of your 2024 and plan your visit or experience today online at nationaleaglecenter.org.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblatt Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblattfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
All right, I got two quick ones here I got to get to before we get out of the show here. First of all right, I applaud the St. Paul Public Library on this one, but you're going to have a run on these suckers. Arguably one of the most loved state flag design submissions, the Laser Eye Loon, has found new life on the St. Paul Public Library card. St. Paul residents interested in getting a free library card can now enjoy the limited edition card design. Current card holders can get a replacement card with a new account number or keep their account number and instead request a card size sticker. If you're hoping to snag a Laser Loon, you probably act fast. Supplies are limited at each library location. Oh, I got to believe there might be a run on this. This is going to be like tickets to a concert. If you're because this is every freaking hipster in the city wants to, hey, let me show you what I got in my wallet. Oh, God. Stop it. Stop it, hipsters. No, I don't want to hear about your organic goat cheese. Stop it. Take off those glasses. They aren't even real. They're just designs. Stop it. No, I don't want to see your hammock. If your library location is out, we encourage you to check other library locations. Once they're gone, they're gone. So there you go. If you're wondering why there's a mad stampede at every St. Paul library right now, that's why. I want to give, we talked about this a few times. I want to give a lot of salute to the folks over at Theo Worth. Claire Wilson's phone lit up with text messages on Friday morning as a few flakes of snow fell outside. Anytime there's snowflakes, I get texts from everyone. The director of the Lopet Foundation told Axios she's looked for crews in the park. Wilson could have used a lot more text messages this year. Minneapolis is hosting the first World Cup cross-country ski race in the U.S. since 2001. This winter has been the warmest and least snowy on record. That has pushed Wilson to beg and borrow to ensure the proper course for the event. Less than 2 weeks ago, the race wasn't a sure thing. Wilson staff and volunteers tried to build trails wide and deep enough to satisfy the International Ski Federation. With no wiggle room on dates to venues, canceling was on the table, but the Federation gave organizations the green light after a round-the-clock snowmaking. With fewer than 8 inches of snow this season and frequent temperatures in the 40s and 50s, too warm to make snow, building trails has been a Sisyphean challenge. Nice, Sisyphean. Well done. The Highland Park Reserve donated 24 truckloads of snow, mainly for staging areas that would otherwise be mud. Three Rivers Park District and Ramsey County loaned snowmaking machines. Worth Park neighborhoods, as sponsor Mortensen, provided big blankets to cover the snow from rain last week. The whole Nordic Ski Committee has rallied around this. Congratulations, guys. I hope you are able to pull this off. If you can, it's supposed to get cooler. We're supposed to actually have some snow in the metro. Hopefully it doesn't track south, but we might get a little snow there. And it's supposed to be cooler heading into the weekend. So I hope you guys can pull this off. A big salute and all my prayers to you guys out there. Native Roots Radio is up next. I'll see you guys tonight at the meet and greet. Until tomorrow, see ya. February is AM 950 Listener Appreciation Month. We can't